Today we've got the largest feminist convention in Europe taking place, but trans activists couldn't help themselves last night but spray paint it pink and smash a load of windows. What I find most concerning is they posted on X, almost like a terrorist organisation, taking credit for the damage. They posted two little statements. And the thing that the trans community, or trans activists at least, just cannot seem to wrap their heads around is that someone else standing up for their rights is not transphobia. It's why when I always say, when people say trans rights are human rights already are human rights. Trans people, or trans activists, are looking for special or additional rights. So they've said they're basically taking action against the Brighton Centre, hosts some of the most vicious transphobia in pop politics. List of who the speakers are. Their vile and hateful rhetoric leads to the same kind of discriminatory violence that kills hundreds of trans people every year. We'll say a lot of this feminist conference is about protecting women from violence. So who on earth would try and sabotage that? You'd have to be pretty messed up. These bigots have our blood on their hands. They use the conference to gloat. This year, we will not let them. Not like trans activists to be dramatic, is it? Favourite line, though. It sees them as neither radical nor feminist, spreading misogynistic hatred backed by both billionaires and the state. We've got to make about the billionaires, can't we? Couldn't miss that opportunity. But how on earth? Because these are what they call TERFs, or trans exclusionary radical feminists. So basically they are feminists that are just there for women. They don't see trans women as women. How on earth you could call that misogynistic it's wild. It's the inverted logic that you so often see with wokeism. They're comparing themselves to the suffragettes and radical queers before us, that the only path towards liberation is through action. They literally, at this point, I'm afraid, they do sound like a domestic terrorist organisation. If you expect to continue in your trade of transphobic hate, if you expect to continue in your queer bashing and trans misogyny and call it feminism, then expect resistance, expect retaliation, expect us. Same again here. So this is the whole issue with trans rights. It's not queer bashing or trans misogyny for someone else to talk about themselves or try and defend their own rights. The only thing I would say to the trans activist is you've got to decide. You're either a victim which doesn't feel safe, or you're a terrorist organisation. It doesn't work well for normal people when you try and be both. It kind of just confuses the narrative, shall we say. And the only thing I would want to take this opportunity to remind people is that there are several very sane, very normal, transitioned transsexual adults that are very aware they're not their new gender. They are just trying to live their life. And people like this just make it worse.